Hey, true believers, it's Adrian Smith, your guide to the weird and wonderful.
And I'm Julia Jones.
Back with you for another paranormal probe with the True Alien Podcast. You ready for this one?
Absolutely. I think we've got a real head-scratcher for everyone today.
Every day on this show, we explore the unexplained.
Aliens.
Abductions.
Bigfoot.
You name it. We're going to dive into a true story today.
Yeah.
Examine the evidence and try to separate fact from fiction.
That's right.
Don't forget to rate and follow the show for more true alien stories.
So today we are taking you deep into the heart of the Ozarks.
Ooh, the Ozarks.
A region just steeped in folklore and mystery.
Oh, yeah. And believe me, this story is as creepy as it is intriguing. We're talking about the Devil's Promenade.
Ooh!
And the infamous Spook Light.
You've probably heard whispers of the Devil's Promenade. This rocky outcropping said to be haunted by, well, the devil himself.
Oh, yeah?
And then there's the Spook Light, this strange pulsating light that has been sighted in the area for generations.
Some folks dismiss it as swamp gas.
Right.
It's some kind of natural phenomenon.
Sure.
But the connection to missing persons in the area is what makes this story truly unsettling.
One case in particular drew national attention. The disappearance of Miranda Yates.
Miranda Yates.
She was a young woman in her early 20s, and her car was found abandoned near the Promenade.
Near the Promenade.
Illuminated by that very same spook light.
Now, sadly, disappearances aren't unheard of in the Ozarks.
No.
But what makes Miranda's case so strange is that she seemingly had no reason to run away. No history of drug use.
Right.
No troubled relationships. No signs of a struggle.
No.
It's as if she simply vanished.
And that's where Zeke Dubois enters the picture.
Zeke Dubois.
A local with a deep connection to the area, and some might say a peculiar perspective on these disappearances.
Zeke's not your typical Ozarkian.
No.
He claims to have witnessed the spook light in connection with other disappearances, which led him to believe there's a pattern here, something more sinister at play.
And what I find fascinating is that Zeke isn't just relying on anecdotal evidence. This guy kept meticulous records, a detailed journal filled with newspaper clippings and notes about disappearances linked to the spook light going back decades.
Wow, decades?
He even has a collection of what he calls insurance policies.
Insurance policies. Okay, now I'm really intrigued. What kind of insurance are we talking about here?
Think rusted arrowheads, antler amulets, even an obsidian blade.
Okay.
It seems he believed that conventional weapons wouldn't be enough against whatever was behind these vanishings.
No, he definitely wasn't messing around. But I'm curious, what was it about Miranda's case that caught the eye of our skeptical journalist, Harper Ellis?
Well, remember the silver locket found near Miranda's car?
Yes.
It had a date inscribed inside, 1957. That, combined with Zeke's meticulous journal entries and the disturbing consistency of the disappearances, convinced Harper that there was more to the spook light than just local legend.
This is where things start to get really interesting. What did Harper uncover in those journal entries? Did Zeke's research reveal a connection between the missing persons?
Harper noticed a chilling pattern. The victims were often overlooked, marginalized individuals. You had Miranda, the small-town girl, Bobby Ray, a homeless vet struggling with PTSD, old Miss Evelyn suffering from dementia.
The forgotten souls of society, the ones who might not be immediately missed.
Yeah.
That's a disturbing thought.
And it raises a lot of questions. Who or what would prey on such individuals, and what does the spook light have to do with it all?
This is where we introduce Dr. Karen Smith, a physicist who was studying the spook light phenomenon. While many dismiss her theories as outlandish, Karen believed that the spook light was more than just light. She believed it could be a crack between dimensions.
Exactly. Now, I know that might sound like a leap, but bear with me.
Hold on, we're going from ghost lights to interdimensional portals now.
Well,
This is where things get wild, folks.
Karen's research, however, offers a potential explanation. She was studying dimensional anomalies and had theorized that certain areas, like the Devil's Promenade, could be susceptible to these kinds of interruptions.
So Karen is suggesting that the spook light might be a doorway to another dimension,
Yeah.
and that something might be coming through.
That's precisely what she believed. And this is where the story takes a truly terrifying turn. One night, while Harper and Zeke were at his cabin reviewing Karen's research, something broke in.
Broke in. Like a burglar. Or are we talking something more unconventional?
Let's just say it wasn't your typical home invasion. Picture a figure sculpted from pure shadow, slender and inhumanly tall, with eyes that burned like cold embers.
Okay, this is definitely not someone you want knocking on your door in the middle of the night. What did Zeke and Harper do?
Zeke, being the seasoned Ozarkian he is, instinctively reached for his shotgun. But Harper, ever the journalist, wanted answers. She wanted to understand. So they held their ground, watching as this shadow creature extended a tendril of darkness toward Zeke. This tendril wrapped around Zeke's hand, and for a moment he was frozen. His face was contorted in a mixture of shock and something else, almost like recognition.
Recognition? What do you mean?
It's as if Zeke somehow knew this creature, or at least knew of it, and then the tendril seeped into his skin, leaving behind these pulsing black veins.
Okay, now I'm getting goosebumps. So what happened next? Did Zeke turn into a shadow monster?
Not quite. The creature retreated back into the night, leaving Zeke shaken and changed. He told Harper that the creature offered him power knowledge, a glimpse into a whole other world. But he refused.
Refused? Why would anyone refuse an offer like that? Was he just scared?
He sensed a darkness, a price attached to the offer that he wasn't willing to pay. He saw it as a down payment on his soul, and Zeke, despite his rough exterior, wasn't about to make that deal. You see, this detail speaks volumes about Zeke's character, and perhaps reflects a broader Ozarkian belief system, a wariness of unchecked power, and a respect for the natural order of things.
Makes sense.
It's like they say, be careful what you wish for. But what was Karen the physicist doing during all this? Was she just hiding under a table somewhere?
No. Karen was working frantically,
Yeah.
trying to make sense of what was happening. Remember, she believed the spook light was a crack between dimensions, and she was convinced that whatever came through that night was just the beginning. She warned that something bigger was trying to push through, and they needed to be ready.
So they're dealing with a potential interdimensional invasion. And their defense strategy is, what exactly? Did Karen's research offer any solutions? Well, they turned Zeke's cabin into a makeshift fortress, boarding up windows, gathering weapons, basically preparing for war. Karen, meanwhile, was working day and night on a device that she believed could repel these interdimensional intruders. It was a mix of cutting-edge technology and honestly something straight out of a science fiction novel. She was trying to manipulate electromagnetic fields, essentially creating a barrier that these interdimensional beings couldn't cross.
So it's a good old-fashioned Ozarkian standoff with an interdimensional twist. This is where the story really starts to feel like a classic horror movie. So what happens when these creatures come back?
The night of the confrontation, the spook light was pulsating with this eerie purple glow, unlike anything anyone had seen before. It was like a beacon, drawing these shadow creatures in. And sure enough, they appeared, not one, not two, but 3 of them emerging from the light, their forms solidifying as they entered our world.
3 shadow monsters. That doesn't sound like good odds.
Zeke opened fire with his shotgun, and Harper, bless her heart, tried her best with a crossbow. But these things were tough. They seemed to be made of shadows, shifting and reforming, making them difficult targets. This detail is particularly intriguing because it suggests that these beings might not be constrained by the same physical laws that govern our world. It makes you wonder about the true nature of these shadow creatures and what their existence could tell us about the universe.
So how did they survive? Does Karen's device work?
Karen's device was their only hope, and thankfully it kicked in, creating this shimmering dome of light around the cabin. It was holding them back, but the energy was unstable, and it was clear it couldn't last forever. She believed that by manipulating these fields, she could disrupt the creature's ability to maintain their form in our dimension.
It sounds like she was trying to exploit a weakness, like finding a chink in their armor. But a temporary solution isn't a victory, right?
No, it wasn't. But then something incredible happened. Zeke, remember those black veins he got from the creature's touch? Well, they started spreading, and he started chanting in this ancient language, something primal and powerful.
Wait a minute. Is Zeke turning into one of them? Is he going to betray them?
It's not that simple. It's more like he was channeling their power, their connection to that other dimension, to fight back. And it was working. The shadows recoiled from his words, their forms flickering as if they were being burned. It's as if by refusing the creature's offer, Zeke inadvertently tapped into some primal force, a defense mechanism perhaps embedded within the very fabric of the Ozarks itself.
So Zeke's the secret weapon. I knew there was something special about that old Ozarkian. But what about Karen? Is she just watching this all unfold?
Karen was fighting her own battle. She was pushing her device to its limits, trying to strengthen the dome, buy them more time. But then the unthinkable happened. The shadow creatures merged, combining their forms into one monstrous entity, and it smashed through Karen's defenses. Now think about this for a moment. The creatures, seemingly desperate, resorted to combining their essence. What does that tell you? It suggests that they were vulnerable, perhaps even afraid. This detail adds a layer of complexity to their motives. It hints at an intelligence, a strategic mind behind those shadowy forms.
Wow, this is intense. So what happens? Are they all goners?
It was chaos. Zeke was thrown against the wall, Karen's device was destroyed, and Harper, in a moment of pure adrenaline-fueled courage, charged at the shadow behemoth with Zeke's shotgun.
She charged at a shadow monster with a shotgun. Talk about bravery. Did she even hit it?
There was a blinding flash of light, a surge of energy that filled the cabin, and then silence. The shadow creature vanished. Karen was lying on the ground, injured, and Zeke was. Well, he wasn't moving. The black veins had receded, leaving him pale and still.
So they won. But at a cost. Did Zeke survive?
It's hard to say. Harper got them both back inside the cabin, and she eventually collapsed from exhaustion. When she woke up, she heard something chilling, a scratching sound at the boarded-up window. This cliffhanger is brilliant. It leaves us wondering, did they truly win? Or is this just a pause in a much larger conflict? And what about Zeke? Is he gone? Or has he been changed in some fundamental way? What do you think?
Oh, man. I don't know. This is leaving me with more questions than answers. That scratching sound, it's almost too perfect, isn't it? Like something out of a horror movie.
Yeah.
What did Harper do?
Well, Harper, being Harper, didn't just cower in fear. She cautiously approached the window, shotgun at the ready, and peered through a crack in the boards.
I wouldn't blame her if she'd barricaded herself in the bathroom. So what did she see? Were the shadow creatures back for round 2?
The source of the scratching? Well, it remains a mystery. But what's interesting is the implication. This fight, whatever it is, isn't over. It makes you wonder, did these beings come through that interdimensional rift with a specific purpose? Or was it just a random incursion? And if they were driven back, will they try again?
It's like that old saying, nature abhors a vacuum. If there's a crack in reality, something's bound to try and squeeze through. But what about Zeke and Karen? Did they ever recover from that night?
Karen, though injured, was already back at work, analyzing what happened, trying to improve her device. This woman is dedicated, bordering on obsessed. It makes you wonder what drives someone like Karen. Is it just scientific curiosity? Or is there a deeper, more personal motivation at play?
I guess when you're dealing with the possibility of interdimensional beings, it's hard to just walk away. It's like discovering a new continent, a whole new realm of possibilities and dangers. But what about Zeke? We left him unconscious, drained, and with a history of a very strange handshake.
Zeke's fate is left deliberately ambiguous. He disappears from the narrative, leaving us to speculate. Did he succumb to his injuries? Was he taken by the creatures? Or did he walk away, forever changed by his encounter? This open ending, I think, is a stroke of genius. It invites the listener to participate in the story, to fill in the blanks with their own imagination.
It definitely adds to the creepiness factor. So what's the final verdict? What did this paranormal probe into the Devil's Promenade and the Spook Light really reveal?
I think the story highlights the power of belief, the blurry line between folklore and reality. It challenges us to consider the possibility that there are forces at play that we don't fully understand, dimensions beyond our perception.
And maybe, just maybe, there are people like Zeke Dubois out there, guardians of the unknown, protecting us from things that go bump in the night or slip through cracks in reality.
It's a comforting thought, isn't it? That even in the face of the unimaginable, there are those who stand guard.
Well, true believers, this paranormal probe has left me with chills, questions, and a newfound respect for those who dare to venture into the unknown. What do you think is really going on at the Devil's Promenade? Share your theories and your creepiest encounters in the comments below. And don't forget to rate and follow the True Alien Podcast for more tales of the unexplained. Until next time, stay curious, stay vigilant, and keep looking over your shoulder.
Stay safe out there.